So we're just spending a few minutes in silence together. You can gaze with me if you like, or you can just sit there with your eyes closed. We're just going to give a little bit of time for everybody to arrive and to land in our hearts together. Okay, well, welcome everyone. So good to be here with everyone. Gosh, Swami, I haven't seen you in years. Good to see you. And some faces here that I've not met before. Just wonderful to be here in the circle with everyone. I don't have anything planned, no speech. I'm not here as a teacher, but as a guide to support this conversation in whatever way comes through me in the moment. Otherwise, let's just talk about whatever's up for you, wherever you are in your awakening process, whatever challenges you're facing and it needs support or reframing. I've had a lot of people recently talking to me, asking about the difference between surrender and resignation. And that might be a theme, if you have something to speak about that or not. But from my perspective, surrender is giving up any mental idea about resistance and resisting equating strength or abeyance. So a lot of people have this idea that if I surrender, I'm giving up my power. It's actually accessing your power, in that allowing life to be as it is. What happens is we now have access to that wise one that comes through in a much softer voice that can help you respond to life rather than react. Unfortunately, oftentimes surrender doesn't happen until exhaustion causes a release. So we have to do what we have to do until we can let go and allow another way to come through. Although having access to the possibility of just softening with whatever's arriving in the moment. I just did a big piece of work last week with a dear sister here in town. Got some stuff coming up around the loss of my brother. He passed 2 weeks ago, and some family drama. So in that surrendered state, what happens is there's access to this beautiful peace that holds everything. So it's okay to have this experience and expression of sadness. And in the softened state, in that relaxed and natural state, the sadness is able to pass through us. There's no story about it that causes suffering. Sadness is just sadness. It's a wave. And the same with anger. There's anger that bubbles up around something. If we're not resisting it and calling it bad, that it shouldn't be here, I should be better than this, I shouldn't be experiencing anger. Again, it's just like a breeze through the tree. It's allowed to blow through and pass. And then we have access to that wise one that comes through us, that creative impulse of life that is able to respond to anything. So one thing that I share with people often is life has said yes to it. Who am I to say no? So in that open-armed, soft, open-hearted yes to whatever it is that's arising, clarity and direction can come through. I feel that it would be lovely to have everybody kind of bring themselves into the space with a couple of words. Maybe if you feel to, it's not necessary, but if you just say your name, say where you're from, and maybe a few words about what brought you here today to this sacred circle.
My name is Michael. I live in Talent, which is near Ashland. And truly what brought me here specifically, I've known you for years, and I have absolutely admired the energy and offering that you bring forward. it's out of my opening to the right connections in my life, and really listening to what that is. And I saw your post, and I went, I've never done a webinar, and there's something here that I am absolutely surrendering to. And the universe continually offers these gifts and these opportunities, and I'm just saying yes to every one of them with my heart. And I'm feeling incredibly emotional in my surrendering, opening my door and saying yes.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm here, to sit with this beautiful group of people. And no expectations, just open heart, and appreciate the opportunity to sit in a circle.
Great. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you.
Diana, would you like to check in with us?
Hanging on by the skin. Well, I just thought it seemed such a great thing to do. Spiritual cafe online, and I haven't done anything like this before. Your monthly newsletter I received for a period of time when things were quite difficult, and I really loved receiving them and reading. Just grateful for that. So here I am.
Great. And you're in France, right?
And I'm in France. Yes, I live here.
Welcome. Thank you for that. Andrew, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Well, my name is Andrew. I live in Cleveland, Ohio. I had the privilege of knowing Shelley when I was quite young, 12, 13, 14, when she was in the Boston area. And so that was my first connection with her. And have been going through a really difficult period in my life, and kind of hit this wall where there were several different directions that I could have gone. And I just had for a while had Shelley in my mind, and had been reading Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now and A New Earth, and had attended a couple of Eckhart Tolle events and so on. And I felt like Shelley's language really spoke to me. I had watched her things on YouTube and so on, and felt called to reach out to her for help. And so I've been working with her one-on-one, and then she mentioned this group session. And I also have never done anything like this before, but I'm thrilled to be here in your company, and to listen to you and to learn from you. And I'm very excited for today.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah. Michael, would you like to check in?
Seems my headset is not connecting.
Okay, got it.
Clear enough?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Yes. So we connected fairly recently, Shelley, and I would I guess I just connect through some sense of resonance, and particularly in some way the bottom fell out of my life for the last couple of years, and so I've been looking to make sense of my experiences, and so yeah, I connect with your back gap interview initially. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, great, thank you. And you're in Nevada City, is that right?
Yes, I'm in Nevada City in California.
Got it, right. Thank you. Diana, would you like to check in?
Sure. So I signed up because I was experiencing a certain wave of suffering at the time, which isn't present now. I'm in California, and Shelley Ray was instrumental in helping me get through a really rough period in my life where I precipitously surrendered and moved to Portland, Oregon, and found out it was a disaster. Couldn't wait to get out of there. That was quite a journey. And I love Shelley Ray. I love what you offer, and I just am always reassured by the sense that what's showing up is exactly what's supposed to show up. That's been a lovely remembering for me. Not that I always remember it. Just here with you guys. Thank you.
Beautiful, thank you. Yeah, good to have you here. Susie, would you like to check in?
Sure. So I'm in the, also in California. Nice to hear some people are here from California. I'm in the San Jose area. And so I've been working with Shelley, I don't know, a couple months or maybe more, lost track of time, on a one-on-one. It's been phenomenal for me. I've been going through, and have not just recently, but evidently I'm a slow learner. So I've been going through my challenges for quite some time. But what I've really loved with Shelley is there's such an honesty and a truthfulness. I don't even have exactly words, but it just really strikes me when we're in our one-on-ones and I'm in my rant and rave and suffering, and somehow she can walk me off the edge, and I get so much insight out of it. So I have so much gratitude that I did see, actually was that depth also that I discovered you, but just so much gratitude that you were available and that we can work together. And I'm here because I really am hungry for being around like-minded people that are on this journey. I've been gone from California for about 12 years and moved back about 4 years ago. And even though I'd lived here prior, coming back, everybody's changed. And so even I had a spiritual kind of community here before, but they're all in their thing. So it feels very isolated from that point of view. I was living out of the country, so I'd had a whole different experience for those 12 years. So being back, having Shelley, and so excited that she was going to do this group again to just kind of be with some like-minded people. Very grateful to be here.
Thank you, Susie. Good to have you here. Gail, would you like to touch in?
Okay, I'm Gail Jolly, and I'm from Asheville, North Carolina. I met up with Shelley Ray one-on-one 2 or 3 years ago because I've been going through a life transition for the past 4 years, and it's still ongoing, and I'm still, learning to deal with it. And so I'm here at this webinar to continue the journey. Thank you.
Thank you. Anu, would you like to touch in and say hello?
Yeah, it was great to be here. I don't know if I have that much to say right now, but I've been working with the wonderful Shelley Ray on and off for 4 to 5 years now, and it's been a beautiful journey. I'm in a really good place in my life right now, but I still have little things that pop up here and there. So it's always, as we all do, it's always nice to be in the community with a group of like-minded people, and appreciate being able to feel that energy and the feeling of community and people support. Great to be here.
And you're in California too.
I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Right.
Yay. Hi.
Good to have you here, Anu. Thank you. Alana, would you like to say hello?
Hello, everybody. My name is Alana Blue Soul. I am a recent transplant to Ashland, Oregon. I am a practitioner of shamanic healing arts, and I move frequently recently because my guides are just positioning me where I'm needed. So I just follow the guidance, and wherever I go, I would love to connect with people of high integrity and joy. And I was recommended to meet with Shelley Ray, and so we are having a meeting next week, but I wanted to experience her energy and actually hear the people who work with her. So I think I'm in a good place and in the right place. So Shelley, it's very nice to meet you over the Zoom, and I look forward to our lunch together. And until then, here I am.
Thank you. Good to have you here. Swami, would you like to say hello? Yeah, we're not getting your words. I think you need to unmute your mic. Yeah, no voice. Huh. Right, well, I'm going to move on to Mitchell while you poke around and see if you can get your mic turned on your computer. I'll do an introduction. Swami Jayananda from Hampton, New Hampshire, and he's been my teacher years ago. Just a beloved friend and dear to my heart. So good to have you here. And I hope that you can get your mic turned on so that you can participate in this sweet gathering. So Mitchell, would you like to say hello to the group?
Yes, I finally figured out how to get the video working. But it's good to be here. And I live here in Ashland, Oregon. And the reason I'm here is, like many of you have said, it's really wonderful to be with like-minded folks, where you can just share your heart, just share who you are. And it feels like my whole life I've been on this journey of just simply being more and more of who I am and getting to know that. And so it's good being with all of you and just seeing what wants to happen here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to have you here, Mitchell. Okay, well, here we are. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for bringing your voices into the space, and just so appreciate our gathering here. And I want to open the floor to anyone who feels that there's something up right now that needs some support, that needs some witnessing. If there's something new that's charging through your awareness right now that might need some reframing or some pointing. And again, just to remind you, I know that you've all received the kind of the protocol for our gathering, that we're not going to talk over anyone. We'll let the person who's speaking share, and then anyone who has some reflection or feedback or questions, and I might have something to say, and let's just hold space for the person who has the talking stick and allow them to share what they're sharing. And then somebody has something to reflect, or if somebody gets triggered, if there's something that happens for you because of someone's sharing, that is welcome here too. I'm passing the talking stick.
I would go.
Okay.
Okay.
And I saw that Michael had his hand up next. So once we're complete with you, Susie, we'll pass the talking stick to Michael.
Okay. So most recently, I've been, I don't know, an awareness. I don't know quite what's come in, but lots of questions around the mirroring of the mind, or I think it's called several different things, but the bottom line is realizing that everything that appears supposedly in the outer space is really representing what's going on inside. And that's come to me in very humbling and like in my face kind of situations where it's like I can't blame somebody else. Why try? That's not working. It's like it's there, but there's also then the mind comes in with the question, like logically, well, how does this really work? Is this true? Is it not true? So I think basically what I'm saying is there's a confusion of when I see this, when I'm aware of it, when I notice it, and it's in the moment that I'll notice it, I go, whoops, this is about me, not my husband, not this other person, this is about me. So I don't know, I need a way to understand or not understand or what it is.
Great, thank you. Well, I'll say a little bit. It's probably gonna sound like a broken record because I've shared this with you so many times, and just for the group, and then anyone who has something else to reflect back to Susie, you're welcome to share. That mirror is always, as you know, our work, and we can point out and blame and deflect responsibility for what's happening, but it's always a door. This trigger, this reaction, it's always an opportunity to access either our shadow or to take one deep conscious breath and just ask life itself, which you are, what is it that you're wanting me to know more deeply about myself in this moment? So it's an opportunity to explore where we might have a reaction. In that softened state, we're more able to respond rather than going from that knee-jerk response, which is a pattern, it's a program, to just pause and take a nice deep breath and say, okay, how shall I respond to this? What's getting activated? Is it 5-year-old Susie who wasn't seen, held, heard in some way? And so really to honor what's showing up in the moment as an opportunity to heal our wounds. And certainly don't want to do any spiritual bypassing, like everything is perfect, it's all good. You want to feel what's getting triggered. And in that moment of feeling, that's the step to healing. So we don't feel as a means to an end. You let the feeling be the end. So you really want to stay in the moment, and feel whatever it is that's getting activated. The feeling is the release. Oftentimes people will drop into the anger or the sadness or whatever it is that's coming up, and they're like, wow, it was so intense 3.5 seconds ago. Where is it? And that's the opportunity for healing. And sometimes we get to hit up against that wall a number of times before it's completely cleared from our field. To notice and to use it as a doorway to healing, to use it as an opportunity for healing. I know you've got the skills and you've got it all down, and it's really a blessing to see the beautiful ways that you're moving with you as you show up in each moment. Yeah, so anyone have anything else to share, to reflect, to bring into the space around this topic?
I noticed last week there's one day where a trigger happened for me, and as triggers usually happen, I'm not always comfortable with the trigger. And it was amazing, or just interesting, I think, that what happened with it, just being with the trigger, allowing it to be there, allowing it to be felt because it's there. And then at the same time, just noticing the trigger just kind of just accepting it being there, it just got quieter and quieter and quieter. And then I just got to feel me again. I just got to feel what's always here. And that was just humbling. It was humbling to feel the trigger, and then it was just not just humbling, but just it just feels so good to come back and just simply to be me. And there's a resting place there, and being with myself. And that resting place, let's try it again. It just allows me to have a home base.
Yeah. Right. Anyone else want to share on this topic?
I would have something I would like to share.
Go ahead, Michael.
And I apologize, I don't remember the lady's name.
Susie.
Susie. My experience with that part of the mind that questions and doubts and asks the question. I find that all the time. My mind is very inquisitive and very active, and my mind wants to know the answer. It wants it very solid, and I continually have the conversation with my mind that that's really not the way that the creation works. So much of what really is, I know I can figure it out on my own. There's something deeper, something bigger, and so I continually have the conversation with my own mind, assuring it that it's still okay. It is perfectly okay not to have the answer, and just enjoy the journey and have the conversation. And thanks for putting your concern into our whole big picture. Just let the mind know it's all perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you, Michael. I encourage people to talk to the mind like an innocent child. It thinks it's helping. It wants to help, but it's actually all the information that's coming from, that mind created self is coming from the past. And we don't want to resist it. We don't want to make it bad or wrong. So to allow it to, to be there. Thank you. Thank you for your input. Thank you for your assistance. I know you're helping, and I'm going to just try something else in this moment. And that's the opportunity to drop into the body and experience whatever it is that we're feeling. And the more we do that, I don't know, it can happen in a moment. The hardwire to the mind gets cut. And then, it's like silent clouds drifting over the lake. It leaves, there's a reflection, but it doesn't leave a trace. It doesn't leave anything behind. So the more you can acknowledge the mind, say hello, thank you, I appreciate your input. I'm just going to experience something else for a moment. And that's, we drop in and say, what's going on in my body? Oh, there's tightness in my solar plexus, and feel that, I wonder what that is. Get curious about it, explore it without needing to analyze it or label it, to just experience the feeling. The feeling is the healing. And this is where spirit resides, The embodiment piece is the part that is key to awakening. So we can't awaken somewhere out here in the mind. It's here in this physical form. So to drop in as often as we can and see what's here in this moment.
I may say something that was it just a personal experience for me where this really came into realization for me. About a month and a half ago, I was on vacation with my girlfriend on the beach in California, and it was a beautiful day, beautiful lunch, wonderful moment, and I was absolutely obsessing about, okay, in 2 days I fly back, and then the following morning I have this awful meeting that I'm dreading, and oh my God, they're probably going to say this, and oh, then I'm going to react to, and my mind, I have a very active mind, and it just totally went down this channel, planning out my response to every possible situation that was going to happen in this meeting, and then doing this and this, and I just stayed on that for a while, and it just, in the moment of that, I kind of woke up and realized, wow, the last 25 minutes, I haven't even been at this beach at all. Like, I've totally missed this moment because I'm already in that meeting 2 days from now, planning every worst case scenario. And at that time in my work, I was really looking at my mind, the thing to fight, the bad mind that I have to stop, I have to deactivate, that is always triggering this. And it was just in that moment I had just this clarity of like, oh my gosh, my mind is actually trying to help me. It thinks that I need to spend my time bracing myself for this and plan how I'm going to respond to this. So in that moment, I know what to do. My mind actually thinks it's trying to help me. And then that was for me because Shelley at that point had several times talked to me about treating the mind like an innocent child and so on. And I really struggled with that. But in that moment, just for me, it was this moment of clarity of, oh, it actually thinks it's trying to help me here. And then from there, I could sort of interact with my mind in a different way. And so even though it wasn't a massive event for me, it was really a turning from another way, in the way that I interacted with my mind.
You're kind of cutting in and out a little bit, Andrew. I'm going to ask you to come just a little bit closer to the computer. Great. Yeah, thank you for that input, that reflection. Yeah, go ahead, Diana.
I want to make a comment. I got a real kick out of what Andrew was saying. Know that one really, really well. And, what's occurring to me lately is, just this thought of, so this isn't bad, right? So the mind is going off and is tripping around about what's happening in a meeting on Monday. And I just want to bring this in, and I'm not even sure why this is coming in, and it doesn't matter, but I listened to a BAPGAP interview over the last couple of days with David Spangler, one of the original founders of Mentoring. What a wonderful, wonderful man. Very multi-dimensional and is conscious of the multi-dimensionality. And one of the things he was saying was he realized when he was coming into the body this time that he just could completely got a hit on how precious it is to have a human body. And I thought to myself, yeah, you know, I forget that. There's all this complaining about what's wrong, you know, this and that and the other thing. But just this sense lately, just pervading sense of just, wow, you know, this human body, you know, how cool is this? It does this, does that, it does the other thing. The mind has this commentary and that commentary, but you know, at the end of the day, it's freaking terrific, you know? So that's what I want to say. Or it's not, right? It is or it isn't.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Alana.
I want to share something that is happening with my clients and myself also as well. I noticed recently, especially, I would say 1.5 years, but especially accelerated maybe in the past 2 months, you know, as the energies are kind of, it feels like unraveling and condensing at the same time. And I noticed that a lot of past is coming up to be like, we have to face that in order to release it, but it's coming up in very big doses, you know. And so I noticed that when I get trapped into this panic, you know, in myself, or if my clients get into this panic, and mind is trying to, and mind is not our enemy. It's like, I don't subscribe to the mind as our enemy, like some people do, like stop your mind and all this stuff. I don't think so. I think we're not taught to actually think properly. That's why we're having problems with the mind, yeah. And so, but when people go into panic, or if I go into this, trying to create a scenario, and my response in advance, I just try to remind myself that I am always enough in the moment. It's like when something happens, I have an ability to respond properly in the moment. So I don't have to create this long preparation for how am I going to deal with my son, or how am I going to deal with this difficult person and all this stuff. When I'm facing that, I am enough in the moment, you know, and it has been helping me immensely. And I like what Dawn Diana said, the body is so precious. And I work a lot, the focus of my work is loss. So I work a lot with actually transitioning the people who is already on the other side too. So I have worked with suicides recently a lot. Like in the past 6 months, there has been a lot of work with that. And so what I noticed when I work with the beings on the other side who decided to terminate prematurely is that now they don't have a body, and they don't have a timeline that they had in the body to actually resolve their problems, you know, resolve the challenges and overcome the challenges. Now that moment it's missing. So the body is such an incredible instrument to do so much work. And you know, and the more we treat it as this beautiful temple and a gift, as Dawn said, that was given to us, the better it will assist us to fulfill our life's mission. You know, and I know some people who think that they're on a spiritual path. It's like what I noticed, that they're kind of hovering from the heart up, you know, and they're not fully embodying. And when I see that, if they ask me for it, I said, listen, get down to your toes, you know, get down completely, you know, and let your body help you. It's not your enemy, it's your friend, you know, let your body help you with your mission, you know, it's here to do so. So I really appreciate what Dawn said, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Alana. Yeah, beautiful. For me, it's just, I love that piece about the projecting and trying to figure out what you're going to say in some projected scenario. It's really just trusting that life's got your back. It's got you in every moment. And the perfect response, the perfect expression is going to happen in the moment. It's not something that we can plan out in the future, that, you know, and if he says this and she says that, I'm going to respond like this. We just are here and trusting that life is going to guide us in that moment perfectly. Michael, I'm gonna pass the talking stick.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What I wanted to bring up is an experience I had 2 days ago, where I was involved in, although I was untouched, I was involved in a car accident. on the notorious Highway 680 in the Bay Area, for those who know it. And so it was, well, just briefly, I had to do an emergency stop to avoid hitting the person in front of me. And as I did, I looked in the rear vision mirror and saw that there was another car behind me that was not going to stop. And I saw the face of the man who was driving in my mirror, and it was just kind of like this. And at the very last split second, he made some kind of decision to wipe himself off against the concrete barrier instead of hitting me. You know, I was just in this stillness. I mean, there was zero extraneous thoughts, or it was just like a verticality place. And as this happened, and as I left the scene of this accident, you know, and I was untouched, it was just so clear to me that, how can I put this? Well, firstly, in a simple way, I'm not in control of these things. There is something beyond me which disposes of me, of us in situations, and I'm not in control. And then came this, like, actually, as I was in this meeting, where it led to was this feeling of, there's this sense of a burden that could be dropped, the burden of the assumption of being in control of my life, and at the same time knowing that I do need to respond in the right way to what occurs in this life. So there's some like narrow place that, let's say, the domain of the mind does need to operate and does need to respond appropriately. But in some larger sense, I'm not in control, and I would love to drop that burden.
Well, thank you, Michael. I'm actually working with a couple up north who are dealing with round 2 of cancer for him, and the burden of all the decisions, and how, you know, they don't want to make the wrong decision. And to be able to experience all that gets stirred up around the challenges in life, whether it's, you know, potential passing or disease or work challenges or family challenges. It doesn't matter what it is. It's all relative. You know, the body's going to react the way the body reacts. And I love that you were just, you know, in this vertical place of being able to rest in the stillness of life. And that is a perfect example of how we can respond to all of it. The decisions that we make in our life about the next step, the next page, the next chapter, we can't get it wrong. And to be able to grok that, to be able to realize that ultimately this limited human perspective is not the one that's really in charge. We can't get it wrong. Life doesn't make mistakes. So to be able to surrender that, you know, in every moment, this idea that we can control life. Life is lifing, and everything that we're experiencing in every moment is an opportunity for our evolutionary expansion. You know, it's a gift. It's a gift in that moment for our next leap in consciousness. So go ahead, anyone who has something to share. Go ahead, Alana.
I just want to share, not share, but to add to what you just said. I had a journey for my friend this morning before this meeting. And what you just said that about we can't go wrong. The guides told me that you can't fail. You didn't fail. Your life is not over yet. And then I thought about it. Gee, it's never over. You know, the life is never over. That means we can never fail. You know, the life unfolds and unfolds, and it's like it's this joyous understanding that we can't get it wrong because we can't get it done because it always is. Yes. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah. You're next, Anu. I had this experience last week. I was driving my RV north, trying to get out of the smoke here in Ashland, and doing 70 miles an hour, I blew a tread on the rear driver's side. So, you know, this whole tread came off, and I thought for sure like the axle had broken, the noise that it was making and the way the RV was just jumping all over the road. And I had that same experience. It's just this, so this is how it ends. And you know, traffic all around me and everybody like swerving all over the place, avoiding this huge piece of rubber that's flying down the highway, and managed to get off to the side of the road, and it was all fine. It's so different from the way I used to live. It's from that very tight place of thinking that I can get it wrong, thinking that death is real, thinking that I can be hurt. None of that affects me in the same way as it used to. I mean, yeah, an injury is an owie, and I'm with it, but I cannot be hurt. So there's no story about anything that goes on, even, you know, the huge amount of money that it costs to remedy the situation, me at the side of the road. As it turns out, my spare tire was no good either. Didn't affect me in the same way as it used to from that limited human perspective. It's like, oh my God, I believe in lack. Oh my God, I believe I can get hurt. Oh my God, it's all gone wrong. Oh my God, what does this mean about my trip? None of that happens. There's just a resting with what is now. And I offer that because I want you all, and I know, you know, from the people that I know here, that on some level you've experienced it, that, you know, it's possible. It's possible in every situation to trust life, to just know that nothing has gone wrong here in this moment. It's an opportunity to see where I am in my evolutionary process, or for healing, or, you know, whatever it is that's coming up in that moment, to breathe into it, lean into the edge, lean into whatever it is that's getting activated in that moment. It's great opportunity. Go ahead, Anu.
Well, I just wanted to reflect more on what you just, exactly what you just shared, which this is so big for me, to just the idea of realizing that nothing can go wrong. I mean, that's when I look into my past struggles, and when struggles pop up occasionally now and then, it's usually rooted in this idea of resisting what is, and the idea that perhaps something has gone wrong, and if something challenging shows up, then that wasn't supposed to be that way. Everything was supposed to be perfect and happy and living in a well-feathered nest, and anything that doesn't look that way is wrong. And so I think I'm embracing this perspective, or I'm able to embrace this perspective more so than ever before. But it's still interesting how it pops up now and then, this idea that, oh, life isn't supposed to be like this, or I should have a bigger house, or I should live somewhere else, or I'm not supposed to live with this housemate, or whatever it is. And it's so freeing to come back to this truth that life is showing up exactly as it needs to show up for my process and my journey and my evolution. And it's beautiful. It's all about giving up resistance. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have something to add to this theme? Go ahead, Michael.
I wanted to just add my perspective on the preciousness of this life, of this human incarnation. It's beyond my imagination, the capabilities that we as human beings have on this planet. And every day I am committed to myself to acknowledge this human existence for its uniqueness and its magnificence. And I see through the process of staying with it, keeping my heart open, knowing I don't have very many answers to anything. And this being has such potential, such amazing potential to create a new life, different than it's ever been, more amazing, more miraculous, more magical, more loving than it's ever been. So it's in that gratitude of this incarnation as a human being that I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this very moment to share with each of you who we are. Amazing.
Thank you. So, anyone else something to share on the on dropping the burden of control?
We like it.
Go ahead, Gail. Yeah.
Yes, well, when I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, after living a very healthy lifestyle, I thought, how can this be? I've done everything right. How can I suddenly have cancer? So yeah, that has been the lesson for me for the past number of years, is to realize that anything can happen to anybody at any time, regardless of what you do. So yeah, there is no control. You can do whatever you like. Things are just going to happen. You just got to go with the flow, and like you say, surrender, not resign yourself to it, but surrender and just wait for the messages to come through.
Yeah. This is what I signed up for. As difficult as it is, as unfair as it may seem, this is what I signed up for my own personal evolution, for the people around me who are experiencing whatever they're experiencing around whatever it is that's going on, to remember that this is what I signed up for. This is what spirit and form has come to experience, and to continue to surrender to the great wisdom that expresses through all of us. It's not ours to control life. Life isn't owned by any singular person. Life is everything, and it's not ours to control. So to dance with our piece that's been choreographed from a much higher perspective is the challenge, to continue to be with whatever it is that's bubbling up in the moment. To be where we are with it, we can only respond from the level of consciousness that we're at in every given moment, and to be with it and allow what's coming through to come through. More awareness and more awareness, to be able to step back just a little bit as we can and watch it all. Hold both, hold both. The challenge of being human, don't try to supersede that. It's not easy. It's hard sometimes, it's painful. Sometimes it really sucks. So to hold that and to allow it and to be it and to feel it, while also, in the other hand, holding, the perfection and the beauty and the grace of life, it's both and. It's both and. Honor it all. Go ahead, Alana.
It's so surprising, and it's not surprising actually, the synchronicity of this conversation with the journey that I had this morning, because I was journeying to Pallas Athena because of the astrological configuration today, and I was asking her, it's like, what would be her advice for me personally and for people that I work with at this moment? And she said, step into authority and surrender the control. Control is based in fear, and authority is based in your personal power. And when we look at it, when we wanted to control other people, when we want to control situations, it's all based because how are we going to feel if something goes wrong? It's always this fear, I'm going to get hurt. Like, if my child will get hurt, I'm going to suffer, or if this will go quote unquote wrong, I'm going to suffer. But that's all based in fear, and I just thought, I love this synchronistic conversation today about surrendering the control. And thank you, very well said about holding both. Thank you. It's beautiful. Yeah. Sometimes we wanted to just forego our human nature and become this superhumans, and we're invincible and all this stuff. But to be vulnerable with that is beautiful.
Thank you. Sure, go ahead, Diana.
Very brief. I'm seeing 11:11 right now. Okay, time 11:11. I'm seeing 11:11 all over the place, like a billion times lately. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've heard that 11:11 is like a portal. Some people I've been talking to say that if you see 11:11 a lot, it's like a portal.
Do you have any more to say around that?
to tell you the truth, I didn't really focus on all the details. I just remembered the message of it being a portal.
Cool, thanks.
I can share, I have the same thing with 1111. You know, I can't remember what I exactly heard many years ago about 1111, but what it does for me is it brings me right back to the moment. And it oftentimes happens when I'm not in the moment. And I'll glance at the clock or anything can come up that's 1111. And immediately it just, it's like a message for me that get back in the moment.
What you just said really sparked for me, actually. So for me, what it does is it brings this sense of mystery and joy and wow, you know, oh, thank you, a cool message. I love that. Thank you. You know, it's just thank you. you just brought a cool message too. Everyone did, actually. Thank you. I mean, it's so quirky, right? I mean, 1111 all the time, many times. Okay.
I've heard it's a tap on the shoulder from life itself, from the universe, just saying, wake up.
Hi.
Hello. Yep. Don't forget. Or maybe not don't forget. How about just remember?
Yeah, like a portal to higher consciousness.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that zings. Thank you.
I love the little wake-up reminders, and they're all over the place. So to use whatever tools out there that trigger, you know, that knock on the door of consciousness, to remember. I love how Neil Donald Walsh plays with words in his first book, Conversations with God, and one of it was remember. And so it's RE-MEMBER. Remember. Come back to source. Come back to the source of who you are.
I just like the sense that remind us that we live in a multidimensional existence, and although I'm not aware constantly of communication in that sense, I came to a point at one stage where I started to feel that some thoughts in my mind were mine and other thoughts were not. Like they were just planted there in some way or downloaded. And I feel it's the same with those kind of 1111 type things. It's just the sense of being in a sense of life that is larger than the place, a place I think we've been culturally conditioned to be in. I can put it that way.
Conditioned mind, conditioned world. Most everything that operates in our awareness, you know, for the majority of people, comes from the conditioned mind and the conditioned world. And you know, the challenge is it a challenge? Perhaps, I guess for some, yes, it's a challenge going through the stripping away of the conditioned world, the conditioned mind. What remains? You know, if I'm not that, you know, what am I ultimately? So all of these ways that we identify with who we are. You know, I am a mother. I am a. So for me, the last big one, I'll just share with you, for me, that got stripped away, that I had no awareness of, that I was identified with, was the sober one. So I got sober in 1997, and I didn't realize that I had this great identification with I am. There are no two more powerful words than I am. So whatever you say after I am is really powerful. There's great power in the spoken word. So I am sober. That's who I thought I was. So though I am still not drinking, though I am still experiencing sobriety in my life, I am not that. I am much more than sober. Go ahead, Andrew.
I just wanted to speak to what you were talking about, because that has been one of my greatest challenges, because I spent most of my life thus far specifically chasing the titles. chasing the recognition of winning this award, getting this distinction. I'm in a field with great competition, and so standing out above all the others, the more titles, the more things on your resume, was the goal of everything for so much of my life. And the stripping away for that was very scary for me, because it was like, okay, what if all of that was for nothing? It's not who I am. And what would I be without this? What would I be without this? And that was a very difficult time for me. And I realized that most of my life I had been trying to avoid and bury my past and project myself forward into my future of having attained all of these things. And so I was always dreaming of some future version of myself while trying to squash out any past version of myself. And the one thing that I avoided at all costs for years on end was being right here, right now. And I've gotten so much better at this, but one of the challenges that I still face is asking myself what my relationship is with the present moment, whatever the moment. And I literally have a note that I keep in my pocket that I pull out and ask myself what my relationship with the present moment. One of the things that you and I talked about, Shelley, in one of our sessions was the energy leak that I have, even just internally, the mental battles or thought, and how much that siphoned out of me. And so over the past few days, I've been really examining my relationship with the present moment and realizing how many times per day that itself is an energy leak, my relationship with whatever it is I'm doing. And even if it's something as simple as doing the dishes, oh, I have to do the dishes now. And that's my relationship fighting what is in that moment. And so my challenge for myself that I'm trying to do is to see if whatever it is that I'm doing, that I can be fully present for, and try to use it as not an energy sap, but a way to increase my energy. Experiencing this increases sort of the vibrational frequency of what I'm doing, and to see how that transforms the quality of the way that I interact with life. So I don't know if you have any thoughts, anyone, or advices or experiences, but I just wanted to throw that into the mix.
Yeah, beautiful, Andrew. Thank you so much. Yes. So Thich Nhat Hanh said something in a book that I read many, many years ago, that washing the dishes could be a meditation. And I thought back then, ain't no friggin' way. I hate washing dishes. So as a kid, it was used as punishment. So I had this old attachment to dishes. Having to wash the dishes is bad. And even though I wasn't consciously aware of that, I had huge resistance to dishwashing. And so all these years ago, what I started doing was making it my meditation, feeling the warmth of the water, the smoothness of the dish, and really being present for it, and actually having reverence for the way life was expressing in that moment, my hands touching. And so yes, I mean, it was a beautiful way of letting go of the resistance to what is in the moment and allowing something else to come through. And it was a big teaching for me. And it permeated a lot of areas of my life where I had resistance to different things, that now there is an appreciation. There's actually, can go even greater than appreciation. There's a reverence for what is showing up in my field in the moment. The vacuuming. How grateful I am to have a vacuum cleaner and a carpet to vacuum and a house to put a carpet and a vacuum cleaner in. Really to just have that energy of gratitude for this particular moment. And thank you too, Andrew, for speaking what you're going through. May I have your permission to share just a little bit about your history?
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so just so you can see, the great challenge, and I know it's all relative, we've all got our challenges, but Andrew, I met him when, preteen, 12, 13 years old, worked with him for a few years with him and his mother, and he's a child prodigy pianist, and he's been, he's worked with the best, and he's traveled all over the world, and now just approaching 30 years old, has his doctorate, and, and all of this identification with who I am and what I've accomplished and what I brought into this life. And it's been, it's really been a magical journey to see just your depth of surrender and clarity and ability to recognize and see how the clinging to who I am and what I've accomplished has softened so beautifully, with all the people I work with and have worked with in the past and know on so many different levels. Just such gratitude for the work that, that is being done here. Awakening hearts. This is what the world needs. People to, to wake up and let the light and the energy of that touch the world. And everyone who has this surrender of the limited aspect of self, or these disembodied or suppressed personas, everybody who moves through these waves and has greater access to our higher essence, that can't help but affect the world. It touches the whole world. We is one. So thank you for your work, all of you.
If we could just go back to when we were talking about 11/11, I just noticed on my computer today saying 11. It's interesting.
Yes. Yeah. It's also new moon and partial eclipse, I believe. Yep, Swami nods, yes. Big energy. It's a good time to step into whatever it is that has been whispering and bubbling and percolating in your field. New moon is a really good time to push the reset button and to step into whatever the next is for you. It was interesting that this got scheduled before I looked at the calendar and saw that it landed on a new moon. I thought, oh, how perfect. Thank you. Life does have my back.
I thought you did it on purpose.
Yeah, no. Magical. It's all magical. It really is. We step back and look at it through the eyes of innocence. Every moment in this life is magical.
I'll just say real quick, I'm really glad you shared that about sort of new beginning, taking a step back and hitting the reset button, because I'm really in a state of transition right now, something that I've been sort of waiting to come to fruition for many years now. I feel like I'm ready to make a big career effort. I'm at an exciting place where I feel like I'm finally ready, and it feels like the doors are opening for me to be making some changes in my life, mainly in how my work life shows up for me, and that may mean moving from my current home. So I'm in a state of a little bit of precariousness, because I'm not sure if I'm going to get these interviews that I want to get, but I think I am, and but it all feels really good to feel like I'm ready. I'm really ready for this change. And interestingly, when like these new doors open, it's like when I look behind me and look at where I am now, things here start to look rosier. When I don't feel like I'm trapped in where I am now, which I had been feeling, and that there wasn't any sort of light at the end of the tunnel. Now things here sort of start to look rosier, and I can appreciate more the way things are. So I just wanted to share that.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Anu. Yeah, there's a lot of shifting going on, self included. I'm considering upgrading my RV and living in that and working on the road for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, so and I'm hearing, just a lot of what you just spoke, Anu, and I know that you've been kind of on the cliff for a long time, and as much as I'd like to give you just a tiny little push, I know that you've got to make the jump, and so it's beautiful to hear that for you. Yeah. I know that a lot of people are having a lot of things going on, big shifting in the world right now. So honor it all, honor it all. We are coming close to the hour and a half that we all committed to, so I just want to open the space for anything that didn't get shared that can be spoken briefly, you know, in these last couple of minutes. Okay, well, I so deeply appreciate every person here and all that was spoken and not spoken, and really hope that, well, I know that it's touched you in some way, and just appreciate everyone stepping forward, dropping into your hearts and sharing from that space, and our sweet sacred circle here today. I look forward to offering this again. I'm going to continue to offer it on a monthly basis. I don't have a definite date each month yet. That may happen at some point, but right now I'm just looking at my calendar and fitting it in where it feels good and right and comfortable for me. So thank you all for your presence, for your open hearts, for your participation, and for taking this time out of your precious day for us to come together in conscious conversation.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you. Yes.
Much love to all of you. Yeah, great. Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye for now. Recording to come.
Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.